What a welcome for 2018-2017 has prepared. Welcome to the 2018 CNBC TV18 Overdrive Awards, the jury round. It's a racetrack full of awesome cars and bikes. All of them are brand new or significantly updated, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Today, we're focusing just on the cars, and our jury is just waiting to get going. So let's not hang around, let's meet our jurors. Our external jurors bring with them fresh perspective, a keen eye for detail, and unparalleled technical knowledge. As for the team, we live, breathe and talk cars all year round, and that helps us make an informed choice to pick the cream of the year.
The Maruti Ignis. Oh, what do I say about this car? I think it's the most underrated car in our country presently. The Ignis stands apart from everything. It's got really distinctive styling. Some may say it's quirky, but I like that. It's not just different for the sake of being different, but it's smart. It's once you get inside, you realize that all those upright A-pillars and the visibility. In fact, I think it's one of the easiest and most fun cars to drive in our crowded cities.
It's got superb visibility. When you're driving, when you're in the car, the visibility, through the windscreen is perfect. The pickup, the handling on the road is fine. Again, we tried the manual version. I think the automatic version is slightly even more better.
It's so nice to drive, light controls, peppy. For the city, I think you can't get a better car. And then if you want to make a statement with your a style statement, I think it's a brilliant design.
The Datsun Ready Go, well, I think it's got a very nice approach. Instead of just breathing fresh life into the car every year with new graphics and new decals and a few cosmetic changes here and there, they actually went out and even plonked in a 1-litre engine. So that basically gives the entry-level consumer wide options to choose from. So even if they don't have probably the numbers of the bigger players from the segment or from the market, I think their approach towards the segment and the market is really good.
I do feel in terms of the drivability, in terms of the suspension, the steering feedback, things can improve. I'd like to feel a little more sturdier from the inside, and a little more feedback to the driver would go a long way, especially in internal traffic and going through by-lane to by-lane, and also when you're in the city. I think Datsun made a step forward from the previous generation. Definitely it's worth its buy in terms of the price range.
The Hyundai Grand i10, I mean, it's a proven performer, been a big success in the market, and this year Hyundai decided to give it a slightly bigger diesel engine, which is only fair considering the competition it has in the marketplace. And with this new engine, it just gets that much better.
It's one of those small cars, and I think the pricing needs to be improved there if they want to sell it in large numbers. I understand they already sell it in large numbers, but I think if they put it a shade lower, it'll really do very well. At the end of the day, these are small cars, these are compact cars, but from a ride point of view, they've done some remarkable improvements in the engine, and I think that should do them very well and take them for the next 2-3 years.
So that's our show. Thank you for... I'm kidding. We've got lots more cars. So take a short break and come right back. Welcome to the 2018 CNBC TV18 Overdrive Awards, the jury round. Now it's the time of the sedan. Now India seems to be favoring SUVs ever more, but the sedan class is still moving at a rapid pace. And this year was important because 2017 saw massive updates to the two big names in the segment. So there are a lot of cars here, but make no mistake, this is the clash of the titans.
I think the Dzire has come with a brand new design, so that is where it is a notch ahead of its competitors. The fact that it is a Maruti product also adds to the value, good dealership network, after-sales service, and overall you can't find faults with it.
Well, when it comes to compact sedans, I think the Maruti Dzire is the big daddy of them all, the most successful car by far, and the new generation Dzire looks completely different. In fact, Maruti does not even want to call it a compact sedan anymore. It is a full-fledged sedan is what Maruti says, and I think I have to agree with them. It's still less than 4 meters in length, but looks a lot better than what the previous generation car was. It's lighter, the engines are the same, but there's more space inside. Interiors look a whole lot better. There's more equipment. and it is certainly one of the strongest contenders this year.
The Hyundai Verna, I think, is a big improvement from whatever we have expected or stereotyped the brand as, that they give us a good kit, but the vehicle feels a little plasticky, it doesn't handle as well, it doesn't feel as good to drive. They have literally eliminated all of those things. It seems that they have really taken the consumer seriously, they've taken the feedback seriously and worked on it.
Driving it, it felt very sturdy from the inside. You didn't feel like, after you cross 100, you didn't feel a vibration. The cornering was very good, very well balanced. The brakes were good. And the main thing is the steering feedback. The feedback to the driver as well. It wasn't too light. It gave you good feedback. So, you weren't hesitant going into a corner. You weren't hesitant when you brake. It was always a good car. I mean, Hyundai have always made good engines and good gearboxes. This was the only area I felt that they had to work on, and they've done a really good job on that.
Now the car feels premium, it actually feels like it belongs to a segment higher, and the kit also reflects that fact. And the overall fit and finish is just phenomenal.
The Tata Tigor. Well, that's actually a car that I think Tata has done very well with, especially the styling.
Nobody expected Tata to actually come out with a car with such styling, bold styling. I think full marks to them. Very peppy engine. It's fun to drive, and I think it should do very well.
It runs well. The interiors are much better than you would imagine in a Tata vehicle. Overall, a huge improvement. I'd say possibly the best vehicle from Tata till date. But again, I'll yet say one thing: the devil is in the detail, and the rear view mirror, even on the Tigor, vibrates. Some of the switches don't have the right weightage. They don't slot in the way you would want them to. The seats, though being the best I have sat and found in a Tata as yet, are yet not all the way there.
The Hyundai Accent got a comprehensive makeover this year. Unlike usual facelifts where manufacturers just tweak either the front end or the rear end of the car, Hyundai has tweaked both the ends and the car looks much better, a lot more premium. Especially I particularly like the rear end. The tail lights look a whole lot better. There's more equipment inside, and of course the bigger highlight here is that it gets a slightly bigger engine, so there's more power and more torque, while the efficiency hasn't really changed. So Hyundai is certainly looking at competing with the new Dzire, which has certainly upped the game, but so has Hyundai.
The Hyundai Accent, priced around 9 to 10 lakh rupees, is a very good option for city purpose. The engine is quite nice, it rides quite well in comparison to the Dzire. I think it's got a more refined engine. The looks are simple, the interiors are functional, very good good space at the back, the boot as well. Over and all, I think it's a better product than the Dzire, other than the design aspect.
Volkswagen Passat has been a long time coming, right? But 2017 finally happened to be the year when it arrived. It's assembled locally, which gives it a good pricing advantage. It has a sensible approach, like you would expect from a Passat. The design, it's a little understated, but I think it looks quite handsome. And though it could have done with a better kit, I still think it offers good value for the kind of money it asks. And what I particularly like is the engine. It feels punchy, it feels nice and relaxed on the highway. I like the ride comfort, I like the comfort of the rear seats as well. And all things considered, it really makes you wonder, do you really want to stretch your car buying plans any further?
So the styling was, again, for me, what they've done is they've stuck to what they're good at in terms of they've not tried anything different. They've kept it generic to all their other models, which is actually good. Being if they're going for their loyal customers, then people feel comfortable as soon as they sit in because they know exactly what to do and they're not startled or confused.
The BMW 5 Series. This has been one of BMW's most popular cars, as we know. And in this particular version, I'm quite impressed with the balance they have managed to, come up with between ride and handling. Especially in comfort mode, the ride quality is excellent. And that's what I think is the highlight of this car, that the balance between ride quality and handling.
Driving on a circuit like this, I mean, it's simply a mean machine. It gives you that comfort level, the ride quality while driving. It just grips on the road. It's at turns also, at high speeds. It's a perfect vehicle. And I understand, I sat at the rear also. The rear seats are also very comfortable. So it's both from a chauffeur-driven point of view or from point of view of self-drive. I think that's the car to get.
The Audi A3 is the smallest car from Audi in India. Sits a rung below the A4, but with a comprehensive update that it got in 2017, looks nicer, gets a newer, more efficient petrol engine. It's a smaller engine, it's the 1.4 TFSI that we first saw on the A4, but it is quite nice to drive, I must say, and of course the car looks a whole lot better, looks fresher, there's more equipment in it, which makes it more premium, while the price hasn't really gone up significantly, which makes the Audi A3 an interesting car to look at for this year.
Audi A3 I think is a very good option for people who live in the cities, don't want a very bulky car, priced at about 43 lakhs. It's very sporty, peppy engine, the average is also good, around 14 litres per kilometre. But I think the rear seats are quite cramped, so if someone has it's a young couple, then maybe it's a good option.
Mercedes did not just pull a rabbit out of the magician's hat, they've pulled out a stallion out of that hat, because they've gone in for the long wheelbase version, which means the rear seat comfort is best in class, and best in class by a long way. I mean, if you're going to be chauffeur driven and you want a luxury executive car, you don't need to look further than this.
Mercedes cars are known for a certain amount of comfort and handling, and the comfort that the rear seat gives you, no other car gives you in its class. From a driving perspective, I think if you leave it to the chauffeurs and just enjoy the ride, I think you've done it. It's got beautiful legroom, it's got a lot of space, and you can actually snooze out there.
Are you keeping track of our contenders? Because for this next part, you're going to need to watch my hands very carefully, because we're done with these and we're starting with those. Come back for the SUVs after this break. Welcome back to the 2018 CNBC TV 18 Overdrive Awards jury round, and now we're driving the big ones. These are the SUVs, and it's been a good crop this year. All of them have brought more premium features down into their segments, and there's some really good ones this year. This is going to be a tough battle.
The Ford EcoSport was amongst the first compact sub-4 meter SUVs we had in the country, and it's been brought back now in a completely new avatar, new styling, very prominent grille, in fact overpowering grille. You know, it's just one aspect that dominates the entire styling of the EcoSport. The good thing is all the factors that really made the EcoSport such a nice car are yet there.
The handling was perfect, the braking was perfect, and even on the curves at high speeds, it was stable.
The refinement levels are yet the best in the class. Its ride quality again has improved. Earlier it was known for its handling, now it's also known for its ride quality. So again the balance, it seems both these cars, the BMW 5 Series, the Ford EcoSport, they have learned that on Indian roads you need this ride comfort, and so they are drawing that balance, which is a really nice thing.
Crossovers seem to be the flavor of the season, and the Nexon is Tata's take on the compact crossover / SUV space. Again, inspired by the success of cars like the Ford EcoSport and the Maruti Vitara Brezza. And I think the design is pretty interesting because the Nexon is one of the few cars that actually look similar to what the concept was in production stage. And the interiors are nice, very funky looking. Just like the exterior design, there's a pop-up screen, there's lots of equipment.
The Tata Nexon is a very good vehicle to look at. The interior is very nice, the quality is very nice, but when you ride it actually on the track and also on the corners, it's not up to the mark as in comparison to its competitors.
I'm a little disappointed with what I know I've come up with as a capture. In terms of the quality of the car, the gearbox was not very good in terms of its frequency of the upshifts and the downshifts. Suspension was not too bad, actually the drivability was okay. The front end felt a bit lazy, but I think the two things they do have to work on is the front end and the gearbox, but apart from that everything else was fine.
The Renault Captur, I think, takes the proven underpinnings of the Duster that we all love, and it also has a more cosmopolitan approach in its design and kit. So I think that should work in its favor, and it slots very nicely between the utilitarian SUVs and the more cosmopolitan SUVs. And in that sense, it should be a good value for money product when it actually starts taking on the market more seriously. And it also makes its way to the Car of the Year award.
Tata Hexa is an interesting car, and I think the Tata stable has come out with something which is younger, which is more with today's times. The handling was very good, the drive quality was very nice, and I think it should do well. You know, one keeps thinking that Tata still needs, you know, when you compare it with the foreign makes, I think they are still a shade below. They need to come up to that level. They're trying their level best, there's no doubt about it, but that, you know, that 1920, you know, that still lacks in the cars.
Tata Hexa, it's come back. What used to be the Aria and was meant to be an MUV is now back as a SUV. But the fact is that when you change your design or position halfway, it's a halfway product. And to me, it's neither here nor there, and at 20 odd lakhs of rupees, there are far better choices in the market.
The Honda WRV is a compact crossover offered by Honda in India. It sits parallel and competes with cars like the Ford EcoSport, the Maruti Vitara Brezza. Of course, these cars that I just mentioned kick-started the whole trend for crossovers, compact crossovers in fact. And the WRV is Honda's take on the segment. It's based on the Jazz platform, which is a tried and tested platform, and being based on the Jazz, there's lots of space inside. It of course looks similar to the Jazz, but in my opinion, I think it's a better looking car. Sits slightly higher for that SUV-like feel, and of course you've got the typical Honda refinement, the Japanese reliability, everything, the works, which makes it an interesting car for this year.
The WRV has a typical Honda feel to it. The dashboard is very angular, multi-purpose. The seats are very comfortable. Boot space is also nice for a family, a large family. I think it's a good option for weekend drive, multi-purpose utility. It's a good option.
The Jeep Compass, a big surprise from the brand, making the brand more accessible this year, and I think that is one of the biggest reasons why it makes its way onto the Car of the Year list for Overdrive.
The Jeep Compass impressed me. One, it's complete value for money. Two, the drivability is really good. Some people tend to get confused with between the gears and the clutch. It's not a stiff clutch. It's actually a short first gear. So you feel like it's it's stiff, but it's just a gear lever that is a bit stiff. But it's a nice feeling. I like it as a racing driver, and I feel like the suspension is really good, especially going through when you're on the highway and going through long corners through the highway and going through banking and stuff like that. You get a lot of confidence and a lot of stability.
A bit of a dampener for me is the options that you have in the drivetrains. You have a really nice diesel motor, but then the gearbox is not really that great when you want to use it in the city. The clutch feels a little heavier, the clutch pedal travel is a little too much, and then to add to it, the steering is a little too heavy. So it's not a very convenient offering in that sense. The petrol offers that convenience better because it comes with an automatic transmission, but then I would have liked a more punchier engine option in the petrol lineup. The Kodiaq, after a long time, an SUV offering from the brand, and a 7-seater at that. I think it looks handsome, it's sophisticated, prim and proper. So if you don't necessarily need the bulk, the muscle, the off-roading capabilities, or you don't always need a 7-seater configuration, I think this is the car to go for in this particular price bracket. It really looks nice and sophisticated.
The Skoda Kodiaq was a very impressive car. Okay, for its price range, it's competing with it in a different league. But I really enjoyed the gearbox because they've done a really good job in the DSG. It's seamless, you really can't feel the shifts, both in the up and the down. There are no jerks whatsoever. The brakes were really good, typical of a Skoda, and they kept the basics the same in terms of the interiors. The steering feedback has not changed in any of the models, which is good and which is what they need to keep. But the good thing is that the suspension was not too soft, neither too stiff, because it's a big car, so you need some comfort as well as a good driving mobility.
When I first drove the Volkswagen Tiguan, I was seriously impressed. It is a premium SUV priced similar to the Ford Endeavour and the Toyota Fortuner, but it's a completely different take on the segment. It feels more car-like to drive, it's comfortable, comes loaded with features and the typical German reliability and the solid build quality that Volkswagen is known for. Of course, under the hood is the 2-litre diesel engine, which is one of Volkswagen's biggest strengths. And it is a very interesting take on the premium SUV space, especially for somebody who does not want a hardcore SUV.
The Tiguan is a slightly underpowered engine, less than 2000 cc, and I think the price factor is also quite high, about more than 35 lakh rupees. But with that it comes with very good interiors, good quality of finish, quite sturdy on the track, neat, simple. But the size of the vehicle is also slightly small in comparison to the vehicles that you can get for around 35 lakh rupees like the Fortuner or the Endeavour.
The Jaguar F-Pace was a completely different revolution for us after driving it on the racetrack and off it. It really makes you wonder if it's the car maker's first attempt in the crossover or the SUV space.
The exterior as well, it's a smart car and it's very pretty to look at.
It's a nice marriage between the bespoke elements that you expect from a Jaguar with the driving dynamics or the handling that you again expect from the brand. And at the same time, it rides high off the ground to take on some of the worst that the Indian road conditions have to offer. So all in all, it's a nice package, but when it was launched, it was a bit of a pricey proposition, but its recent move of assembling it locally, I think that is what has tilted the game in its favor, and that is why it finds its way onto the car of the year list.
So that's the show this week, and remember, we're only halfway through the 2018 CNBC TV18 Overdrive Awards, the jury rounds, because this is just the cars. Next week, we've got the bikes.